What's going on, everybody? Coming to you today out of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park. Old cabin here, up here just about sundown. Thought I'd shoot y'all another little story. I don't have my Whitecaps book with me, but I got a story I was gonna tell y'all. I guess it's better I tell it than just read it straight out of the book anyway, while we walk around this beautiful cabin. This used to be the Walker sisters' cabin. Looks like it's had some rain damage on it. But you wanna go inside? We've all had premonitions. We've all had what we thought was glimpses into the future, or bad feeling stuff might happen. I know we've talked about that before on here. And this story is about the death of Bruce Luellen. It's hard for me to remember names without the book with me, but his name was Bruce Luellen, and he had joined the Whitecaps group because he thought they were good, friendly people doing stuff in the community that was good. But once Bruce found out that they were whipping and beating and killing people who didn't live up to their standards, their morals, is what they thought people should, he wanted to leave the group. So he resigned from the group, but he knew most of the time nobody left the group alive. And this would be true for him. He knew too much. They couldn't just let him walk away, let Bruce walk away. So he quit, and he was in fear that his mother would get beaten and whipped, or his wife, or his children. So for several weeks, he would sit out on the porch and watch with a gun and different things. Till one day a neighbor come down the road, a good friend of his named Cal Flynn. And he told him that there were going to be some big doings in a place called Milliken Grove. And he wanted him to come down there. It wasn't very far from where Luellen lived. So he told Cal, he said, no, I don't want to come down there. He said, I've worked hard today and I don't feel good. I appreciate the invite, but I believe I'll just go call it a night. And the reason that he said this was his wife had had a dream. She had had a premonition that she had told Bruce about. And she told him that she dreamed one night that somebody would come to their property and ask him to leave and go to a place with him, want to meet later. And in this dream he went, and then the next thing that she knew, she could see blood splattered all over a peach tree and all over the side of the road in the ditch, and just blood and brain matter. And I know it's kind of macabre, but that's what she relayed to Bruce, and she begged him not to go. Well, when Cal come knocking wanting him to go, this kind of gave Bruce an eerie feeling, because he remembered all this. He remembered this dream that his wife had. So he didn't go. But Cal Flynn didn't stop. He come by again the next day, and the next day, and the next day. He kept on telling him that there's some doings down in Milliken Grove, and they involve you. You need to come. So finally, he told him, look, we're having a meeting of the Whitecaps, and it's mandatory that you show up. Even though you are no longer a Whitecap, this meeting affects you. I thought I just heard somebody holler or whoop back in the woods there. I don't know if I picked that up or not. It's getting about sundown. But anyway, so Cal decided he'd go against the better judgment of his and his wife's. Her screaming, begging him not to go. Please don't go. Please, please don't go. Well, he saddled up his horse about sundown, and Bruce went. And as he rode off, his wife was crying to him, begging him one more time. This would be the last time, though, that she would ever see Bruce alive, her husband. Because that night, as the ill wind blowed across these old Smoky Mountains like it does, he was lost in it. The next morning, there was a knock on the door, and it was some neighbors who lived down the way. He said he'd been driving his horse and buggy along the road when he saw something splattered all over a peach tree and something laying in the ditch at the side of the road. And it was Bruce Luellen. And he was dead. He had been shot in the head, and again the top of his head was plumb blowed off. They never did find out who killed this man. The book says it's just one of these unsolved mysteries that's never known. But sometime later, the book says that she would run into Cal Flynn, his wife would, and she would say, "Cal, it's your fault that I'm a widow, because you trolled my husband off in the woods that night to come to town, and he was killed. And you know something about this, and you know more than you're telling." And she basically wished that he would burn in hell for what he knowed and what he done. I know that's pretty rough words to say, but that's what happened. That's the story, how it's wrote in the book. Just another unsolved murder, needless crime. These people were terrible people. We think times are bad now. You can imagine living back then. It was terrible, terrible what happened to his wife and what happened to him. And his killer got away scot-free. It happened somewhere in a place called Milliken Grove. It's not far from where Dolly Parton's mom and dad lived right before they died, actually. Actually, some of my family was from out that way at one point in time. But anyhow, that's the story for another time. But I thought I'd relay this story to you. It's kind of a short story. What happened to this man, and the premonitions and the dreams that we have. The foresight we have that something bad's going to happen. I'm sure a lot of y'all have had that. I've had that. It's been a while since I'd had it, but I had it just right before my sister died. I wasn't going to tell this story. I kept this to myself. Me and my wife went on vacation when my sister had her stroke. We was sitting by the swimming pool. We was in Florida, and we were sitting by the swimming pool of the evening, and I caught something out of the corner of my eye, and when I turned and looked, there was a huge black dog sitting by the pool. I thought, this is odd, and, you know, this thing looked like a huge Doberman, or I mean Rottweiler. It was huge, had a huge head. So I turned back to gaze at it again, because I couldn't believe what I was seeing, and it was gone. And I remember just freezing, tears rolling down my face. My wife's like, what's wrong? What's the matter? And I told her, I said, something bad's getting ready to happen. Something bad. And of course, she didn't really believe in this stuff and these warnings and premonitions. So I prepared her. I said, you know, it's been a long time, but when I looked over there, there was an animal. There was a big black dog sitting right over there next to that fence. And when I done a double take and looked back, it was gone. Just a person sitting there. And lo and behold, the next day we got the phone call that my sister had had a stroke and was in the hospital, a severe stroke. And also her aunt that she was close to had passed away on the same day. And I remember asking her if she remembered what I told her by the pool yesterday. And she could do nothing but just look at me with her mouth open, because she could no longer deny that these things are real. This stuff happens. And yes, it could have been a coincidence, but I got that feeling that it wasn't. And I think she did too once she saw what was going on. But I thought I'd share that story with you. I hadn't told that to many people. That was kind of personal and private, but since we're on stories of premonition, signs and stuff, that's a big deal in these old mountains up here. Premonitions, seeing things, having dreams. Happens to a lot of people whose roots run deep in these old mountains. But notice this trail going out through here. It's not part of the trail that's marked on the maps. So, like I always say, stay on the trails. Yeah, I'm in the Great Smoky Mountains. I'm in the National Park today. So, don't know where that leads off to that way. Don't know where half these trails lead off to. They just kind of cut and go whichever way they want to. But anyway, guys, I thought I'd tell you a little bit more about the whitecaps. I'll do some more storytelling on it. 3 or 4 more stories, and then got another story about a guy that found something odd and unique. I'll tell that story to y'all too. I've got plenty more stories to come. Just gotta have time to tell them all. But until then, guys, I'll talk to y'all later. Thank y'all for all your kind comments and stuff. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. Bye.